Hello, everybody. I think I'm a little bit early this time for once. So you guys are chatting up. So how is everybody doing today? I have a little visitor off to the side. I have a little scrap piece of paper that I'm trying to keep him busy. So how is everybody? Hello, Vicky. So I know that I had mentioned before that I wanted to come and do more crafty chats, at least one a month. And I had a couple of polls going in different areas on YouTube and Facebook to see what you guys wanted to chat about. So today we're going to go over a couple of those topics that people wanted to chat about. And then we'll kind of ask any questions that you guys may have. So I know one of the main topics that people wanted to actually talk about was paper. What types of paper, when to use it, for what mediums. So I'm not 100% sure exactly if there was anything specific you guys wanted to talk about, but I'm seeing like something floating behind me. If you're talking about alcohol markers, there's a couple of different kinds of paper out there. He is a cute one. He likes to be in videos. I don't think he realizes he doesn't hear anybody else talking back. So he doesn't realize that he's on camera right now. But so for Copics or alcohol markers, there are definitely a lot of options. And none of them, to be honest with you, are super cheap. But I do find that the Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock is not too bad when you buy it in a full ream, which is 250 sheets. You're going to drop around $35, but you're getting 250 sheets of paper. That is 1,000 card panels, if you look at it that way. So it's not too bad. It's a lot of money to drop at one time, but it does last you a really long time. Even for me, the amount of cards that I make, a ream typically lasts me at least 4 or 5 months. So it's not too bad, and that is definitely my favorite paper to use for alcohol markers. I know Copic makes one, Spectrum Noir makes one, but they're kind of pricey. They're very small packs. I think you get like 25 sheets, and you're probably spending about $10 for 25 sheets. And if it's something you want to test out, then that's not a problem. But when you're talking, that's a lot of money in the end. So that's my go-to for Copics or alcohol markers. For watercolor paper, I'm not a watercolorist. I like to do it, but I'm by no means an expert. I'm still very much I would say a beginner. I'm not even quite to the intermediate level yet. So watercolor paper, I'm not too picky on. I don't need arches, which is, as far as I know, probably the best watercolor paper out there. I use Canson. A Canson is relatively inexpensive, and you can get it pretty much anywhere. So you don't necessarily need to order it someplace. You can just go to Michael's and get it. You can buy the Nina in any way. I know that scrapbooks.com has them like in 10 sheets, or I think they even sell them 25 or 50. I purchased the ream because in the end, it's the cheapest for me, for the amount of cards that I make. And I pretty much exclusively use the Nina because I do so much coloring. So it's worth it for me. You just have to kind of determine how much coloring are you doing and make sure that you like it first. If you have a friend, try out the paper before you go and spend a ton of money on anything, and that goes for anything. But the watercolor paper, yeah, I just use the Canson watercolor paper. It's a blue pack, or the cover of it is blue. The only thing that I have made mistakes with in the past is getting like a no-name brand watercolor paper. And I can say that even for me, who doesn't really know what she's doing, they're pretty bad. They're really, really bad. Arteza also has a great watercolor paper. I liked that as well. But yeah, I like the Canson because I can get it anywhere. Same thing with the Bristol Smooth. I don't have to wait for an order to come or place an order just to get that paper. I can just run to Michael's and get it if needed. And I think, yes, Wendy, for sure. My favorite, definitely. For colored pencils, you want to make sure, you wouldn't want to use Nina for colored pencils. You need something with not necessarily texture, but some tooth to the paper. So you can certainly use watercolor paper if you don't mind the look of that with pencils, but something with a little bit more of a, like, kind of like a grainy feel. There is, let me see if I can reach it. This is a thin paper, but it's really, really, I don't know whether that's backwards for you guys. It's shown backwards for me. But it's Strathmore toned gray, and it's very thin, but I love this with colored pencils. So Bristol Smooth is not necessarily a watercolor paper, but it's a smoother than watercolor paper, and it can take a lot of water. It can't take as much water as traditional watercolor paper. So keep that in mind. But you can still watercolor on it. You just want to kind of tone down the amount of water that you're using. If you're one that uses a ton of water, you may want to switch to a traditional watercolor paper. It works great with Zigs or real brush pens of any brand, really, with or without water. But it can definitely take water. I know there are some people who use the Bristol Smooth for Copics. I don't find that they get good results. I guess if you're not really a blender, meaning you're not putting a layer and layer and layer and layer, it probably would work fine. But I've never colored on Bristol Smooth, but I haven't actually done a full card. I've tried it, just one image, and I found that I got a lot of bleeding. But Bristol Smooth is meant for blending water-based medium. So it will kind of spread that ink to places you don't want it to go. So that's basically the papers that I use. Nina Desert Storm I use a lot too, because that is great for Copics, but it also works very well with colored pencils. Now he's getting into stuff back there. He does not want me to be on this live right now. But I hope whoever, I know there were several people who actually wanted to discuss papers. So I hope that answers that question. At least that's the papers I use. There's definitely more options out there, but I kind of get stuck in my own thing, and I don't really like to stray. Once I'm happy with the product, I kind of stick with it. Another topic was, he's going to get locked out in a minute, and this came from the Facebook group, is using up your stash. What are my recommendations for using up your stash as far as pattern papers, embellishments, ephemera, things that you kind of accumulate a lot of over time? And this would probably be a different answer for everyone, depending on what your style is as far as your card making goes. Me personally, when I am done with, say if I'm working with a specific kit and it has ephemera in it, I'm not an ephemera girl. Nothing wrong with being an ephemera girl. I'm just not one. It's not really my style. So I'll use it, but once I'm done with that kit, I'll give that ephemera to somebody else. And it's typically my mom now. Nowadays, it's my mom. Pattern papers, I usually keep a box of. Again, it's not something that I use very often, but I like to line my envelope sometimes if I'm sending something fancy. So that's when I'll reach for the pattern paper to line my envelopes or something like that. Or if I just can't think of another background to create, occasionally I will bring out a piece of pattern paper, but I do accumulate some from kits that I receive, and I definitely use them for the kit cards. But once I'm done with that kit, I kind of put the pattern paper away, and after a while, after I get a whole stack, I go ahead and give it away. Because I build up a lot more than I can possibly use. That's what I do. And everybody has a different style. A lot of people love the pattern papers, and I love the look of pattern papers. I just am not good with them. And that's the reason why I've strayed away from that. When I first started card making, it was all about the pattern paper. I didn't have the materials to build my own backgrounds or the skill, but mainly the materials. So it was always pattern paper. And then once I a lot of people say 99% of the time, if you guys obviously watch my channel, but 99% of the time when I start a card, I'm just starting with a white sheet of paper. And that's what I like. I like to start with a white sheet of paper and see what I can do with it. So I very rarely will use pattern papers. So yes, I do accumulate them and then I give them away. If you have things in your stash that you don't want to use up because it's not your style, or you just don't have a reason to use it up, think if you can donate it. I know you have to check in your area, but there's some churches, some assisted living programs that will do crafty things with the residents. You can donate all of that stuff and they'll be very, very grateful. And it will be put to good use. So anything in your stash that you're not going to use, see if you can donate it to somebody. There is destashing. You can certainly destash, but it's a little bit harder to destash, like embellishments and things like that. I do have embellishments like the enamel dots and things like that. Again, and there's nothing wrong. I love them. I love them, but I very rarely reach for them because they're not in front of me. I typically will reach for my Nuvo drops because I can create my own. So I do have them. And like I said, once I get to too many, I either donate them or, I guess I could say I donate them to my mom. But that's how I get rid of it. I don't typically sit down with a bunch of stuff that I've accumulated that I no longer want or need and force myself to use it. Because if I haven't used it by now, it's because I don't enjoy using it. So I don't want to force myself in the craft room to use things that is not really me or doesn't really inspire me, I should say, and try to become creative with it. Because if it didn't bring me joy when I got it 2 years ago, it's probably not going to bring me joy now. So that's a way to kind of, discourage you from going into your craft room if you're forcing yourself to work on something that you don't enjoy. So yeah, donations, I would definitely recommend donations, even kids. Especially for, simpler things like the ephemera, pattern papers. When I was a kid, I would have gone wild if somebody would have given me that stuff. So think of any kids in your life. See if they want to kind of play around and make their own cards or anything they want. So that's my recommendation for that. Okay. Next topic is kind of related, and it's organizing your stash. So I recommend, and it will depend on how much stuff you have, how big of a space you have. I would recommend a reorganization of your craft area. And I mean a real reorg once a year. I typically do mine a little bit more often than that, because I seem to accumulate a lot of design team stuff. So in order to keep that separated, I have my bins back there and each one is designated to design teams. So I kind of have to keep organized there. But for like a team that I've been on for a really long time, like Trinity Stamps, I was on their team for nearly 2 years. My bin was overflowing. So I have to go through, put things away that I'm probably not going to use in future projects, put them with the rest of my stamps, and kind of keep the newer stuff that I'm going to be using more often. So I do a major reorg probably 2 to 3 times a year. And that's just a way for me to, like I said, get rid of the stuff that I'm not going to use. If I haven't used it in the last year, I'm not going to. I'm probably never going to reach for it if I haven't reached for it in the last year. I have to say that the only thing that I've ever regretted getting rid of is the Stamp-A-Majig. And those of you who have been crafting for a while know exactly what the Stamp-A-Majig is. And if you guys saw my friendship hop video, you will know why I regret getting rid of my Stamp-A-Majig. But I did, but nothing else have I ever regretted getting rid of. And you just have to kind of ask yourself, am I going to use it? I was a hoarder, downright hoarder when it came to my craft supplies. And I did my reorg probably in November-ish, October, November, somewhere around that area. And I purged a lot, a real lot. It was very helpful that my mom just recently started card making, and I mean real recently. And so it was easy for me to just give it to her. Because I know, especially with her, like if I really want it back, I can go down the street and I can get it. But oh, see, Amanda, I never regret it. I never regret it. In fact, it makes me feel so much better once I destash everything that I'm not going to use. Obviously, there's certain things that I will keep for the rare occasion that I may need it if it's something expensive. But if it's something really cheap and I haven't used it in a year, I'm not even going to know it's missing. Because how many times do you guys go through your craft area and say, oh, I forgot I had that. Well, it couldn't have been that important if you forgot you had it. So I can tell you that after I purged that much, and I'm telling you, I purged like 3 carloads worth of stuff. It was a lot. I felt a lot more productive because I didn't have all of this stuff laying around me that I feel like I should use, but I don't want to use because I don't enjoy using it. If you are not one of those crafters that like to do it all, there are some crafters that they don't have a style. They do it all, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not me. So you have to just figure out what your style is, what is going to benefit you, and what is going to hold you back. Depending on the size of your craft space and the organization that you have in your craft space, things like that. If you are stepping over piles of stuff to get to this and to get to that, you're not really going to be too productive, and it kind of takes some of the fun out of it. Wouldn't you? And I know if you saw my desk right now, you'd be like, well, it's pretty messy, but I love to be able to come here on a Saturday morning and just sit down and start. And I don't have to clean anything up from the night before, or I don't have to do anything, putting stuff away just to get it back out again. I have a clean desk and I know where everything is because I don't have too much stuff that I'm not going to use. Everything is organized because I don't have too much stuff. And that it changed everything for me, because honestly, it was getting to the point where some days I would come in here and I would make 7 cards before, or start 7 cards and be like, I gotta walk away. It's just not working for me. And now I don't feel that anywhere. I can't tell you the last time I started over on a card. And there's nothing wrong with messy. Messy is a good thing sometimes. But when it becomes too cluttery, meaning you have too much stuff, a good reorg will, I'm telling you, it will make you feel so much more creative and more productive in your craft room, and you will enjoy it more. Stick to what you love. Just because Ranger has come out with a new product doesn't mean we all need to have it. And that's 90% of the problem, is that we feel like we need to have it all. I have a Gemini back there. It's my one and only die cutting machine. Would it be nice to have like a little mini one on my desk? Yeah, it would be convenient, especially when I'm doing my videos and filming. But my Gemini worked really well, and I can't justify buying another one. It's just going to be another thing that takes up room. And that's what you got to kind of ask yourself. Do you need it? Yeah, I agree. I was like that. I bought everything. And there are certain things that I don't use that often, but I still keep it. But very, very rarely. Yeah, I would definitely recommend at least once a year doing a full reorg of your room, because I promise you, you are going to come across so much stuff and say, why did I buy this? I used it once. I didn't love it. And now it sits here taking up space. So it's taking up space. You've already spent your money on it. So you can't get that part back. So either pass it on to somebody who may get use out of it, or toss it, because you're never going to miss it. Yeah, I don't recommend throwing away your stamps or your inks or your markers or your pencils. I'm talking like the little things, because we saw it on clearance in Michael's. Um, I mean, the money's gone. So that's how often I recommend destashing or organizing, at least once a year, depending on how much stuff you have. I have to organize a little bit more, just because this is kind of like, I don't come in my craft room. I don't come in my craft room when I want to. I come in my craft room every single day, 7 days a week. So that's what I recommend. I recommend putting things in order of how you use them. So anything that you typically grab for all the time, I would recommend hanging on the wall in front of you, getting one of those little IKEA carts so it's right next to you. Whatever is going to be within arm's reach. So your Misty, your paper trimmer, your adhesives, you want them within an arm's reach, because there's nothing more frustrating. And I know this is pure laziness, but when I have to get up to get something and I'm filming and I know that I have to go back and edit that part out. And that is just so annoying to me. Even though it's like 3, 4, 5 seconds, it's still, okay, I gotta remember to not miss that part and edit that out. So it's just like a little annoying thing for me. So I have a shelf directly next to me that has all of my paper on it. I have a rack in front of me that has my paper trimmer, my Misty, my adhesives, shimmer spray, things like that, things that I'm always reaching for, paper towels, all my Copic scissors, pens, everything is directly in front of me. And then I have my IKEA cart with, I don't even know what I have on there. My most used embossing powders, my white and clear. Let's be real. Acrylic blocks, things like that. I have to look at it because I don't even know. Things that are looking for something. So swatching. I swatch certain things. I do not make ink pads. I did can you guys still see me? I don't see any comments coming through. I'm hoping that this is still live. I'm going to keep talking. Hopefully, hopefully you guys can still see and hear me. I think YouTube went down for a split second. So yeah, I stopped watching mainly because I don't watch them, but if you are going to get a whole bunch of them at a time, I definitely it's not a bad idea. I also swatch. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try to make this a little bit quick because I think there's something going on with YouTube. It says my Wi-Fi is fine, so I don't know what's going on. So yeah, so scene building is the next topic. This is there's, I actually say Copic, my favorite Copic combos. A lot of people are asking that. It's not something I really can get into in a live. So I am going to go ahead and work on a blog post, possibly a video of my favorite Copic combinations and which ones maybe I feel like I didn't purchase. Maybe that'll be helpful, because they're so similar to maybe another one. So that'll be something separate. Last topic before we talk about the event and giveaway is scene building. I get a lot of questions because I'm a scene builder and I love it. I just love scene building. I get a lot of questions on how do you begin? How do you even start if you grab a stamp set, what makes me build a scene out of it? And the thing is I really don't have a method. I typically will look at a stamp set and think of a scene in my head. Think of what these little characters would be doing if they were in a scene. What would be around them that maybe is not part of that stamp set that I'm able to draw in. You don't have to be an artist. I promise you, you guys do not have to be artistic to do that stuff. So to make this a little bit more fun, I am, after this live, in the community section of YouTube. If you guys know what I'm talking about, when you go to your subscriptions and all the videos are listed, but sometimes you get like little posts from people like saying hello or putting a poll in there. I'm going to take a picture of a stamp set that I will be using in a future video. And when I say future, I mean probably this week. And you give me your thoughts. Just comment what type of scene, what would you see in a scene with this stamp set? Would you see a tree? Would you see a door? Would you see birds? Would you see, you know, anything that you would see in a scene? And then I'll give it like 2 or 3 days. And then I will go ahead and film that video and try to fit in as many things as you guys comment with. I'll try to build a scene that you guys created in your comments, and show you that you can do it. You can do it, I promise you. So hopefully that will help, and I will take you step by step in the video. I'm going to start with that blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to start right from the beginning. All right, so last topic before we get cut off again is the event. And I guess this is probably part of the giveaway. So the giveaway is a ticket to the event. It's a $75 ticket. It gets you in for 2 days of crafting plus a meet and greet with a catered dinner that Friday. So it'd be May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It is in Albany, New York. So if you're not able to make it to Albany, New York, you probably don't want to enter this giveaway. But anybody who is, you know, relatively close or able to make that travel, then I will go ahead and give away one of those tickets to the event. If you've already signed up for the event and paid for the event, you can still enter the giveaway. I'm just going to PayPal you back the money. That's all. So how you enter the event, or how you enter the giveaway rather. Keep in mind, this does not include travel. Hey, Simon, when this video goes live, so once we end this live, it processes for about 5 or 10 minutes or so, and then it becomes part of my videos. You're going to want to go to that one and comment, because there's so many comments going on in here that I'll never be able to kind of weed through them. So that way I can do a random comment generator for the replay, essentially the replay. You do not have to watch the whole replay. Click on it. You don't even have to watch the video at all. I think you can comment on it without watching it. Don't watch it, because it's going to be the same thing that you're seeing here. So just comment there just so that I can keep track of the comments. So you'll have to comment by this Friday. I'm not looking at a calendar, and I really should have these dates written down, but I don't. So whatever this Friday is, that's the last day. And Saturday, I will pick the winner. So this Saturday, I will announce the winner. And again, that will be in the community section. So that is it. Also, in the description box, I remembered to link the information for the event. If you are interested in signing up, keep in mind, if you want to sign up, you can sign up. You do not have to pay, just in case you're the giveaway winner right now. You have until April 1st to make the payment. So no worries. But if you are coming or interested in coming, you want to reserve a spot, make sure that you sign up. The link is in the description box already. You don't have to wait for that. So, all right. So I'm going to take a picture of the stamps that I'm going to be using, and that'll probably be Friday's video. tomorrow I have speaking of Simon's in the live here. I have my Simon Hurley video tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we have a guest. My mom will be posting her very first card making video to my channel. She's terrified. So guys, be kind. Just be kind. Keep in mind, she's only been card making a few months, but she's really enjoying it. And I've encouraged her to share. She's not ready to start a blog. She's not ready to start Instagram yet. So I pushed her into it. So let's all be nice. So that is it. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, thanks so much. I haven't done anything to it, but thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I'm just afraid that we're going to be pushed off again. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. But anything that we either talked about today, or maybe something that I didn't discuss that you want to discuss, or anything about the event that you want to talk about. So far we have, I didn't check exactly how many. I'm estimating based on how many we had a couple of days ago, and I know we've had a few more signups. I want to say we're right around 21, 22 people so far. And those are the people that have committed to come. I still have a few maybes. So there will be I'm going to cap it at 40. 40, just because this space isn't overly huge and I don't want to really cram everybody in there. I think 40 would be comfortable, but anything more than 40 might be a little bit too much. Oh, I'm so happy. Yes, Nina for Copics. Bristol is great for ink blending with any inks that are good for blending. So whether it be the oxides or the Simon Hurley Create inks, whatever, they'll be great. And I just missed the last comment. It disappeared on me right before Teresa said something, or scrapping for less. So if you could just copy and paste that, just so I can see it. The comments disappear very, very quickly for me on my end. So I don't have too much time to read them and be able to respond. Okay, perfect. And there's also an event page on Facebook. How much space does each person get to craft? Okay, to craft, their round tables, I don't know how big I don't know, but they're kind of like traditional. They're not like dinner tables, but they're like the tables that you see at events or at like banquet halls and things like that. I don't know. I'm going to fit 3 people to each table. No more than 3 people to each table. That way you got a lot of arm space. You got a lot of room to stretch out your supplies. And then there's also going to be some long tables set up. If you want to step away from the craft table, there's like a kitchen area. There's a couch in there if you want to kind of just relax for a little bit. There's a lot of space. Hugging and chatting, that is for sure. That's why I thought it would be great to have the meet and greet on Friday. That way we can get to know everybody and not craft, just get to hug everybody and chat. Oh yes, there will be a coffee pot there. Renee, come on. There was another question there that I missed as well. We have a Keurig set up in there. Classes, that's what it was. So Sunday of the event is going to be crafting for anybody who wants to just continue to craft like they did before, but we're going to have 10 creation stations set up. And there is going to be different products that you can try out. You can try out different techniques, and there are going to be a couple of people sitting down at those tables, and they'll be, I don't want to call them classes. They're going to mainly be like kind of like demonstrations, I guess. One of them will be Copic coloring. One of them will be colored pencils. One of them will be something from Spellbinders. So there's going to be lots of different things set up. Some of them you can kind of just sit down and do your own thing because you guys know how to do certain things. You just get to try out new stuff. But some of them will be kind of more like a one-on-one or one-on-two, probably at the very most. where we sit down and we're going to make a card together. And one of them is definitely going to be Copic coloring or alcohol marker coloring. And then we'll kind of bounce around. So there's going to be a couple of us that have been doing this stuff for a very, very long time. So we're always going to be around to ask questions too if you want to try something out. As far as bringing your own supplies, I would definitely bring the basics. I am going to supply the basic cardstock. When I say basic cardstock, there will be Neenah Solar White, Watercolor, Bristol, Black, and Craft, and card bases. There is going to be adhesive on each table, meaning there's going to be a bottle of wet glue, which is going to be the Tombow multi-glue, and foam tape, and a stamp chamois. And then all my stuff, pretty much all my stuff, not my whole craft room, but almost, will be there. In case you forget something, you can borrow it from me, or if you just want to use different stamp sets, you can come in and borrow some for the weekend or for the day, whatever. Copics are allowed on planes. I have brought them on the plane before, so you should be all right with that. I carried mine on because they are my prized possession and I wanted them to stay with me at all times, and I didn't have a problem. They probably will search your bag because they can't recognize what it is going through that machine, but I didn't have a problem. So yeah, not refills. They would have to be in your bag, and definitely put it in like a Ziploc bag just in case they leak. But the markers themselves, I did not have a problem. So does anybody else have any more questions about anything or any other topics that you guys want to talk about? I hope I got all the comments coming through. I know, like I said, they disappear pretty quickly on my end, so I try to get to them as quick as I can, but sometimes they just disappear way too quick. So, okay, I'm not seeing any more comments coming through, so I think we should be all set. Like I said, if you want to go ahead and enter the giveaway, wait for this to be up on replay, which will be about 5 minutes or so. And just put a comment, anything. I don't care what you say. Just be nice. And I can enter you in the giveaway. Like I said, if you've already paid, don't worry about it. I will just refund you if you are the winner. So, I guess that's it, guys. Any topics that you guys want to discuss next time, feel free to reach out to me, email me, Facebook message me, leave a comment on a video. I read all of my comments on my videos, and I'll add it to the list for next time. And in just a few minutes, I will post that stamp set. Let me know your ideas, and we'll make a card. All right, guys, have a good night. Bye.